afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Meet the Council event, marking Arab American Heritage Month. My name is Damon Wilson, and I'm Executive Vice President here at the Atlantic Council. We've hosted two previous events in the Meet the Council series to commemorate Black History Month and Women's History Month. This evening, we celebrate Arab American Heritage Month and our fantastic Arab American team members who are with us tonight. We're currently in the month of Ramadan, of course. We want to offer a warm Ramadan Mubarak to all of those who are observing. Meet the Council is an event series that's hosted by the Atlantic Council's Offices of Human Resources, our talent team, as well as our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council to promote the work and the opportunities of our organization. And these events focus on engaging historically marginalized group in the Council's work as the Atlantic Council works to build a staff and a broader community that better reflect the diversifying of our nation and our world. So in a moment, we're going to introduce my fabulous colleagues who have the opportunity to share their personal experiences, their career paths, and answer your question. But for those of you who are new to us, you might be thinking, what's a think tank and what do they actually do at the Atlantic Council? So the Atlantic Council is a foreign affairs, nonprofit, non-governmental organization. But we're really in the business of ideas and turning those ideas into real world impact with content, with convening, with building communities and campaigning around these ideas and a mission, which is about shaping the global future together. And that mission means that we're actors and catalysts. We're shaping, not just analysts. We bring a global footprint and perspective to our ideals, and that everything we do is together, Americans with our friends and partners. And this year marks our 60th anniversary of our founding. And at our founding, the concept of diversity was important to the Atlantic Council because it was Americans with others. But since then, we have grown, we have learned, we have adapted, not only to become truly more diverse in our workforce and in our communities, but also in our mission so that we're focused on taking on the generational challenges of our time, things that really matter to the lives of Americans and our friends and partners worldwide. And alongside all of this, that purpose has been constant. How do we work together alongside friends and allies to shape the global future together? So last spring, we launched our first ever Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, which is co-chaired by Fernando Thompson, our moderator today. You'll meet her shortly, along with senior advisor Paige Ennis, a fantastic colleague in this effort. We at the Council are committed to strengthening a culture that celebrates diversity, that strives for equity, and that breaks down barriers in pursuit of inclusion. We believe that only an organization that reflects the world around it and that acknowledges historical inequities, structures, and biases that perpetuate them to this day can work to dismantle these barriers to progress and thus help us shape a better, more just global future. That's our purpose. Our mission is global. But our work begins here at home, it begins with our team, and it begins with us opening our organization to you. That's why we're here tonight. This new series is part of that effort as we aim to reach out to diverse communities, to introduce them to our work, our culture, and to invite you in to our community. We are so proud of our team, their work. We want you to meet them. So thank you for giving us a little bit of time this evening to join this conversation. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Fernando Thompson, who has helped create this event series and will moderate the conversation. Fernando, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Damon. Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Kareem, and good evening to all of those who are joining us. And welcome to the Arab American Heritage edition of Meet the Council. Thank you so much for joining us today. This, as Damon stated, was Meet the Council series was started in order to engage with diverse communities throughout the United States in order to give a better idea of what the Atlantic Council is and what it is that we do in order to assist us with gaining new fellows or gaining new staff members to assist us with our reports and all of the works and the products that we do. We invite you to use the hashtag #StrongerWithAllies to follow the conversation on your favorite social media and to share the event with your network. And also, please use the Q&A function if you are logged in via Zoom. The Atlantic Council is a foreign policy think tank. We have real-world impact through world-class research, innovative methods, and engagement with our stakeholders. We produce reports that inform solutions-oriented policy outcomes. We host roundtables to connect decision makers across government and industry. And we analyze the world around us while we are advocating for constructive US engagement. The Atlantic Council has been awarded a 4-star rating by Charity Navigator. It is the highest possible rating that we are an accountable, transparent, and financially healthy nonprofit organization. According to the University of Pennsylvania's annual survey, we are one of the top 50 think tanks worldwide in 2020. Top 10 of the 2020 rankings for foreign policy and international affairs think tanks. We're in the top 10 think tanks to watch in 2020. Again, my name is Clintandra Thompson. I am the web manager here at the Atlantic Council, as well as one of the co-chairs of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council. Our diversity is in those who speak different languages, who hold different political views, and come from different national, religious, and ethnic backgrounds. We are taking steps to ensure that our community is more diverse. We are improving diversity across race, gender, religion, national origin, sexual orientation or identity, and political views at all levels of the council. We are evaluating our talent pipeline and internship program to our leadership team, managers, senior fellows, external experts, board of directors, and advisory councils. We invite you to peruse our website. Some of the things that may interest you are some of our recent events. Some of our recent events that we've had include the future of the transatlantic partnership with Afghanistan, and the links for all of these will be included in the chat. We also had geopolitics in tech, countering bot swarms, mass false accounts, and deepfakes. And we also had a conversation with His Excellency, Dr. Sultan Al-Jaber, Minister of Industry and Advanced Technology and United Arab Emirates Special Envoy for Client. We also have a few upcoming events that may interest you, and we invite you to join. They are free to register and free to participate, just like this event today is. A such example that we have coming up next week is a report launch on the impact of Western sanctions on Russia. On May 5th, we have our EU-US Future Forum that's being put on by our Europe Center. It's one of our flagship events. It's a new event for this year. And on May 11th, we have the post-pandemic South Asia, how the COVID-19 pandemic will affect Bangladesh's politics, economy, and healthcare. Some of the recent reports and commentary that you may be interested in to get to know a little bit more about the Atlantic Council include Viva los Arabs, underreported stories of the Arabs of the Americas, what it takes for MENA to be the next leading venture capital opportunity, and Black Lives Also Matter in the Arab world. Again, we encourage you to engage with us on your favorite social media. We are on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. Use your favorite social media and use the hashtag #StrongerWithAllies. We welcome you to get to know us, to get to learn more about us. Reach out and to find out what jobs we have coming available, what we're looking for in fellows, what are some of the reports that we're writing. We really invite you to get to know us. I'm going to introduce some of my colleagues, and these are going to be people from throughout the Atlantic Council in a variety of positions and a variety of our programs and centers. We have 14 programs and centers throughout the council, in addition to our Office of External Relations, which includes our development office, my office, which is in communications, our events team, which is also putting on this event. We also have 14 programs and centers which cover either thematic issues or regional issues. And so some of my colleagues that will be represented here will be from a variety of different programs and centers here. So I'm going to start off with my colleague, Tuka Nussarat. She is the Deputy Director of the Rafiq Hariri Center of Middle East Programs. We also have today Safa Shawan Edwards, who is the Deputy Director of the Cyber Statecraft Initiative, which is a part of the Scowcroft Center for Strategy and Security. We also have Amjad Hamed, Director and Senior Fellow of Empower Me. And we also have a member of our Human Resources team to answer some of those really specific type of questions, and that will be Fernando Morales. She is the Human Resources Specialist, and she specializes in talent acquisition. Tuka, we're going to start with you, if you don't mind, and we would like for you to just give an introduction of yourself, who you are, where you are in the council, how long have you been with the council, and just give us a general introduction to who you are. Thank you.
Thanks, Clintandra, and thank you for all of your work and the rest of the team on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. I'm happy to be here with all of our great viewers. So I've been at the council for about almost 9 years now. I started here shortly after the Arab uprisings as somebody, with some family back in the region and having visited the region frequently. The politics of the region and its relationship to the US and Europe has always been something of interest to me. So I joined the council, as I mentioned, in 2012. I view my role as, and I've always looked for a position that would allow me to explain what's happening in the Arab world to an American audience, and at the same time explain what's happening in the US to an Arab audience. So I've enjoyed being in this role in the Atlanta Council. I started as an associate director, and now I'm a deputy director, where I oversee the programming and strategy for our Middle East work. So that is focused on the relationship between the US and Europe, and where these two parties can help support whatever is happening in the region. How can we advise policymakers on the best ways to approach what's happening in the Middle East, and at the same time provide timely, accurate, and informative analysis and convening related to issues of interest to the US and the Middle East.
Thank you, Tuka. We'll now pass to Safa Shawan Edwards. Again, she is the Deputy Director of the Cyber Statecraft Initiative within the Scowcroft Center for Strategy and Security. Safa, give us a little bit of an introduction on who you are, how long you've been with the council, and what is it that you do here?
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Clintandra. Hi, everyone. My name is Safa Shawan Edwards, and I'm the Deputy Director of the Cyber Statecraft Initiative, just like Clintandra said. I'm of Bolivian and Jordanian heritage. What do I do in my job? I'm the Deputy Director of the Cyber Statecraft Initiative. That's where I manage the administration of the program, as well as our Cyber 912 Strategy Challenge, which is our global cyber policy and strategy competition. And this is made for university students that focuses specifically on closing the cyber skills gap, but also diversifying the cyber talent pipeline. A little bit about myself and my background. In 2015, I went to grad school at GW, where I studied conflict resolution, focusing on the Middle East and Central Asia. While I was in grad school, I interned with the Atlantic Council's events team, and they were the Cyber Statecraft Initiative at that time was looking for a contractor to organize a few Cyber 912 competitions. So I joined the team shortly thereafter, and they couldn't get rid of me. I've been there ever since, and I've been learning cyber policy on the job, which has been really rewarding.
Thank you, Safa. And I should mention that Safa is also one of our members on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council. She's a gift to the Atlantic Council. Thank you so much for your participation today. Moving forward to my fellow colleague, Amjad Hamed. He is the Director and Senior Fellow of Empower Me. Amjad, let us know what Empower Me is, and let us know how long you've been with the council, and give us a brief intro on what it is that you do here.
Sure, great. Thanks for having me, and really excited to have all of you join us today. So my initiative is really about empowering the Middle East to invest in the economy and the human development of the region. We focus very much on entrepreneurs, women inclusion, and women economic participation, and we also focus on youth. Our role is really how do we affect policy and investment to drive the economy going forward and ultimately drive more jobs for the youth of the region. So it's a really exciting initiative. I just recently came back to the US after spending 15 years in Dubai, investing across the region. And I saw the real power of what happens when you invest in the economy, the externalities of how you're able to help people create wealth, create jobs, and really improve the overall environment. And the question was, how do you do that on a larger scale? And what better way to do it than at a place like the Atlantic Council? I think Damon touched on this early. What intrigued me about the Atlantic Council was that it wasn't just a think tank. It was more about implementation and how do you get your hands dirty and actually do things and make a real impact. And that was very, very important to someone like me who's been on the ground and saw that impact firsthand. I've been with the council for 10 months. It's been an exciting 10 months. I've loved every minute of it. I've loved meeting the people here. And it's sort of a great environment of being around many people who really care about the different things that they're doing. And that passion really comes out in the day-to-day work. So it's been super.
Thank you so much for that. We're going to move along to our colleague in Human Resources, Fernando Morales. Fernando, let us know how long you've been at the council. What is it that you do? We're going to come to you with lots of questions for HR, just wonderfulness that all that you and your colleagues bring to the council. But give us a brief introduction of yourself, and then we'll ask you some more hard-hitting questions in just a moment.
Please bring the questions. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here today with my amazing coworkers. I am Fernando Morales. I am the HR Talent Acquisition Specialist here at the Atlantic Council. I joined the company in December, so it's been 5 months. This is my second meet the council. For me, it's a pleasure to be able to speak with you and speak about the recruiting, the piece, the HR piece, but more especially the diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how that translates to my work specifically. So as a recruiter, my job is to provide and create a great pool of candidates for hiring managers. The talent acquisition team, and of course in partnership with the D&I Council, develop strategies to analyze our data, evaluate our job postings, who we're attracting, how we can increase our candidate, how can we be more impactful, how can we make more better educated decisions. We diversify our job boards. We don't post only on LinkedIn. We try to get more outreach with HBCUs and underrepresented groups, networks, minority groups. We try to improve and increase the council's relationship and outreach with them. And also, internally, we also have our processes too. We review all our job postings and our position descriptions to ensure they are all gender neutral. So anyone reading our posting can imagine themselves performing the job. We review our D&I efforts constantly to ensure alignment with our talent diversity statement and fairness and transparency throughout the entire process. And speaking of openings, we have right now 13 openings from directors to entry-level position in different programs and centers. And when you click the posting, at the bottom of every posting, there is a link to the program or center that position is for. So not only you can learn about the job posting and the job duties, but also you can learn about the impacts initiatives within that program and center. Right now, we close our Summer Young Global Professional, which is our internship, but in a few months, we're gonna open our 2021 fall cohort application. So stay tuned for that. Speaking of fellowships too, right now we are accepting applications for our senior digital anthropology and messaging platform analyst fellowship in our digital forcing research lab. And if right now there is no opening that fits what you're looking for, as Kendra said, follow us on social media. We are in every single platform. And trust me, when we have an opening, we update all of them. We spread the word. And again, add us on LinkedIn. Let's start a conversation. Bring your questions. bring your suggestions. We are here to connect with you as well. So now, Clintandra, back at you.
Thank you, Fernando. I'm going to actually send the next question right back to you. You mentioned the fellow position that we have with DFRL. Can you give a little bit more background and information on our non-resident senior fellows and what fellows generally do at the Atlantic Council? Where should they be in their career and who should apply for those positions?
So our fellowship is usually for the development of the person. We open applications, and if they want to learn something more specific on one subject matter, they should apply for those positions. And there is a variety of activities, research, and also blog posts, and also the networking piece that they would have with the Atlantic Council and our allies. They will be able to learn from those policymaker experts and those people at the ground, subject matter experts, what it's of one specific thing. And of course, we do have a difference between our fellowships that we open application and our non-senior residents. Those non-senior residents are specific subject matters experts in the field, not necessarily here in the United States, but they are nominated for those positions. Those positions are never open. They have a relationship with the Atlantic Council, and they have to be nominated.
Thank you, Fernanda. Tuka, I'm going to ask you a similar question. Generally, who are the fellows of the Middle East programs? What is it that they do? Where should they be in their careers? What differentiates a fellow from a staff member or from an intern or from the other different types of positions and roles that we have here at the Atlantic Council?
Yes, definitely. Well, we have a number of fellows with us, and they primarily drive the work that we do. So I would say they would be mid to upper level of their career, probably at least 10 years experience. A lot of them have PhDs, but that's not necessarily the case. As my colleague Amjad mentioned, we at the Atlantic Council like to think of ourselves also as a do tank, not just a think tank. So there's a lot more that goes on beyond research and writing. So there's a significant amount of convening, track 2 dialogues that resident fellows engage in. Right now, especially with regards to the Middle East program, we have resident fellows that are leading initiatives on North Africa, on Iraq, on Syria, on Empower Me, of course, as Amjad mentioned, Gulf security. So it's a diverse group of individuals. Some of them are coming out of government, so they have government experience. Some of them have more academic experience. All of them are very nuanced in their understanding of US and Middle East policy. And they're passionate about making those connections and briefing US and Middle East government officials on the best approaches to addressing some of the most pressing concerns that we have in the Middle East, US-Europe relationship.
Thank you, Tuka. Safa, you are not in the Middle East programs. You're in the Scowcroft Center for Strategy and Security. What are the fellows that are around Scowcroft? What is it that they do? I know that you guys have a number of fellows there. And I know that you're in just one branch of that particular tree, but what is it that fellows do there with the Scowcroft Center?
Yeah, so I think a little bit about the way that fellowships work in the Scowcroft Center. We try to have a system set up where a fellow would essentially own a piece of programming or an issue. This can range from maritime cybersecurity or cloud security, offensive cyber operations, cyber diplomacy, or cyber education, et cetera. The list goes on. What we really want is that a fellow owns an issue and helps drive programming around that issue. This could come in the form of content development, so reports and blog posts, but also public engagements and private engagements. These can be conferences, public panel discussions, podcast recordings, public news articles, or at the same time, also private engagements in the form of briefings, for decision makers in government and industry, or also private roundtable discussions. And I think what we try to ensure that our fellows have is like a demonstrated interest in cyber policy and an understanding of the ecosystem, and this ability to map challenges or emerging challenges on cyber issues and the relationships and potential solutions for those issues, and also working across very disparate stakeholder groups. I think that's something that's particularly unique to cybersecurity, where they have to work with the technical community, but also with policymakers. So being able to bridge that gap very well.
Thank you, Safa. Amjad, you said earlier that the Atlantic Council, we're going to shift the conversation a little bit more into who the Atlantic Council is. You said that the Atlantic Council is different from other think tanks. Give a broad overview of what a think tank is and does, and give us kind of your opinion of what the Atlantic Council, what makes us special, kind of in your personal view. I know you've only been here for a few months now, but I think that you're well positioned to answer the question.
Sure. So I think traditionally what you see in think tanks is, as we all mentioned, I think the core is research about a very specific topic with subject matter experts who really try to, I would say, shape policy. So they'll take a very particular policy that they very deeply care about and understand, and really try to do the research behind some kind of recommendation so that the government pays attention and starts collaborating with them and influence the government at the end of the day to enact that policy. I think what we do that's different, and I've seen this real time, not only with our group, but with other groups, is that it goes a step further than just research and putting out papers. That really the private convenings where you're trying to galvanize and catalyze that support to actually get it implemented is very strong. And part of that is the convening power. You know, you can pick up the phone and gather some influential folks from the policy side and from the government, but also from the private sector side to hear that side of the story and the voice. So I think this is what I've seen that's very different. And I can give you a tangible example. You know, we care a lot about women economic empowerment in the region. We think that women can really change the landscape of the region going forward, specifically in the economy. It's a great resource, and really it's underutilized. And we need to see more of them get engaged in the economy. What we're doing today is we're collaborating with the US Embassy in Riyadh, for example, to have a program centered around technology and innovation, where we're bringing US entrepreneurs, innovators, companies with Saudi entrepreneurs, innovators, and companies together in one place. And that's not only about peer-to-peer discussion and knowledge sharing, but it's creating networks, and it's creating a very powerful network and could potentially even lead to investment opportunities between the two. So we see that as a very important avenue to sort of create real traction and investment for these changes. We're doing it on very specific topics. So venture capital, how to finance more women businesses, how to get more women-led businesses into the supply chain. So these are very specific topics where the people around the table are actually people who are in the position to create real change. And it's up to us to sort of push it in the right direction and make sure that it happens.
Thank you, Amjad. I definitely agree with all of that you just said. And something that Tuka said earlier, if you don't mind, Tuka, expanding upon this, is so just again, some more background about me. I've been with the council for 2 years now. And one of the things that I hear around the council is that we're not a think tank, that we're a do tank. Tuka, can you kind of expand upon that a little bit? What is that? What is a do tank? I know that Amjad kind of referenced that a bit in his remarks, in his response, but Tuka, can you just give us a little bit more of a viewpoint of what is a do tank? How is the Atlantic Council different in that regard?
Yes, definitely. I think one of the more interesting projects that we engage in a number of ways is engaging with people in the region. So allowing them to come to the US, featuring them in a number of events, track 2 dialogues, conferences that we've had also in the region. Being able to give a voice to people in the region in a way that they wouldn't otherwise have with policymakers here means that we're not just writing about the region. We're not just going to the region and talking to people and then writing about it. We're giving people in the region a voice here to speak to an American policy audience. And at the same time, we're engaging with policymakers in the Middle East and in the US in different ways and different types of convening. So we have a lot of emphasis on private roundtables where people can speak freely about the challenges with regards to foreign policy issues that are of concern to people in the region, economic issues. We do track 2 dialogues, which can be a way to get people who wouldn't normally be in the same room in an official capacity to talk to one another, to engage in dialogue in a way that can advance US interests in the region as well. So I would say that there's a perception maybe that research centers or think tanks produce work that is, that just collects dust on the shelf. We make sure that, and many other think tanks too, make sure that our work is driven by a purpose and a goal to have impact and to make it timely and relevant to issues, relevant to US policy. So nothing that does not really actually provide recommendations for policymakers. That's a big emphasis for us as well. So I think that's how we do more than just think, and we make that thinking actionable as well.
Very excellent. Thank you so much, Tuka. Saf, I'm going to bring it back to you. As we start to think about those who are attending today who are interested in applying for a position that they have the Atlantic Council, I don't believe that the Cybersecurity Statecraft Initiative has any positions available currently. But generally, what is it that you're looking for in a candidate? What is it that people who are applying should include on their application? What type of experience should they have? What should they bring to the table?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we try to focus on 2 different things. So first, there's like personality and culture, but then also there's subject matter expertise. And I think the first thing that we look for is whether or not somebody's a team player. And I think this is often demonstrated through kindness, but also through humility. Is someone able to understand clearly what do they know and what do they not know? And what is something that they're trying to learn through this position? What is something that they're trying to gain? Individuals who display that kind of intellectual curiosity and an interest in learning usually perform very well on our team because they're trying to drive programming and drive research and drive engagement so that they can gain more understanding, but also at the same time push the policy conversation around different cybersecurity issues forward. In addition to that, what we look for, depending on the level of experience on the candidate, the younger the candidate, the more we're going to focus on a demonstrated interest or an articulated interest in cyber policy issues. The more experienced the candidate, we're going to look for past experiences in the policy space, in national security, in cybersecurity, while also being flexible, understanding that candidates often go through pivots like myself, like I did it myself. So I think a big part of it's going to be personality, but it's also just being able to articulate what are you trying to learn and why are you here at a think tank? It's a really interesting opportunity to be here where you get to do a lot of thinking and understanding and relationship management. How do you want to help us move the ball forward when it comes to cyber policy issues?
Thank you, Safa. So Fernando, I'm going to send the question back to you as well. I know that you see thousands of applications come through the door, and I'm just wondering, as you and your team are going through applications for a particular opening, what is it that that you're looking for? What is it that you'll flag for a hiring manager? What is it that someone who's applying should be aware of or should be thinking about? Fernanda, just give me an idea of what people should be prepared for.
Of course, and great question. It is really hard to look at a paper and try to look at for personality and how this person will interact with others and anything else sort of will trade as a team player this person will be. So just talking about a paper and reviewing paper and those resume and cover letters, the Atlantic Council, it's a place full of strong writers. So those candidates who put the effort and really think through their cover letter And as Safa said, try to articulate what they know, what they don't know, where they want to be, and really show on their cover letter from a strong writer why the Atlantic Council, why this position. Those are definitely top candidates. And anything you can have that shows a little bit of your personality, if you participate in networking events or if you volunteer or things that you're really interested about. We often try to bring in expertise that we don't have. For example, if nobody in the team knows how to do a podcast, that should be a trait that we look into make that team stronger. So put your interested on your paper and try to show as much as you can who you are through a piece of paper. I think that'll be what I highlight.
Very good, Fernanda. And it bears worth saying, if you don't succeed the first time, try again. I mean, we have lots of openings, as you will see in the chat, and we're looking for just the right candidate. So thank you for that. Safa, I'm going to send it back to you. The question is, so as I said before, you're on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, and our program today is targeting Arab Americans and just, again, letting them know what the Atlantic Council is. But give us your personal perspective of what diversity means to you, how you're able to show up or not show up here at the Atlantic Council, and how has your experience been in who you are, in all the boxes in which you check. How has your experience been at the Atlantic Council?
Yeah, I think a little bit about like my experience with navigating DEI at the council. It's been primarily focused on our cyber workforce development programming and leveraging our Cyber 912 Strategy Challenge, which I mentioned earlier, which is our cyber policy and strategy competition for university students. Because the competition itself not only addresses the cyber skills shortage, but also as a concerted effort to diversify the cyber talent pipeline in the US and abroad. It's been extremely rewarding to work on that over the years and grow the program. We initially started off with 2 competitions in 2017, and now we're at 7 different competitions across the US, Europe, and Australia. So it's been really great to work with different universities and partners around the world to try to offer this piece of programming as a training and learning opportunity for university students to get them into the cyber talent pipeline, but also help them become more competitive candidates through mentorship and the learning opportunities that we provide them. A little bit about my own experience, I guess, as a person with multicultural heritage at the council. I think that it's been, I think because of my upbringing, I of course have had an interest in like foreign policy and diplomacy because of visiting family in 2 different continents, but also wanting to learn multiple languages to be able to connect with people from around the world. The council has been a wonderful opportunity for that, where we're able to develop programming focusing not just on the US. We can focus on domestic issues, but we can also focus on zooming these out and taking them international as well, and focusing how to work with different partners and allies on specific issues, which has been extremely rewarding since that's a personal interest of mine.
Thank you, Safa. Amjad, I'm going to send the same question to you. I know that you're still, filling out everyone in a digital space, in a virtual space here at the Atlantic Council. But how has your experience been as what may, shallowly be called as a person from a minority background, a diverse person that's working here? How has your experience been? How do you feel that you're able to show up or to not show up? How welcoming or challenging have you found your time to be here? And what has your experience been, and what has your experience been amongst your colleagues and coworkers?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way I can say this is that I don't feel it at all. It feels very natural. I think the beauty of the council is that it's so diverse in terms of people's backgrounds and views, by the way, which for me is been really rewarding. I'm very fortunate. I work with 2 women on my team, Stephanie Ali and Allison Holly, and they've been sort of fantastic. And we just work really well together, whether it's on Zoom, and actually we've never met in person. But it feels seamless. I mean, we've created sort of a family. I mean, I think the best compliment you can give an organization is that, you don't feel like a minority. You don't feel like you're an outsider. And what's more interesting is that it's been all online, and it still feels really close and tight knit. And I think people are very open to different views and different types of people. And that's been great. And this is from someone who's sort of lived abroad for 15 years. So I remember the US very differently. I came from a Wall Street background where, I felt like a minority. I felt like an outsider. This feels very different in a good way.
And man, I tell you, these types of forums, you learn something new about people all the time. I didn't know that you came from a Wall Street background, so that's news to me. Tuka, same question. How are you able to show up as your true self here at the Atlantic Council? What does diversity mean to you?
Diversity means to me that I'm able to leverage my language skills, my understanding of the region in a way that furthers, makes a better understanding of the region, especially to people who may not be able to go there, may not be able to read the news in the language of the region. So, I'm grateful that I've been able to take this passion that I have for foreign policy and international affairs and human rights in a way that can benefit, my heritage community and also my community here. So for me, I think it's been rewarding to work with really a diverse group of people in terms of experience and understanding of the region. I've been in situations where my interactions with people have informed their view of what's happening. And at the same time, I've been, educated in a number of ways because, sometimes you can have filters on, through your background or through your daily experience. We're all informed by that. So to have a community where I'm able to share my views very freely. I'm able to publish articles and engage in conversations with policymakers that speaks to what I really believe in. And at the same time, be able to listen to other views and, disagree with them in a very professional and welcoming environment. So those are things that I've really enjoyed at my time here.
Thank you, Tuka. A reminder to everyone who is listening, please use the hashtag #StrongerWithAllies and submit your questions. We're going to start taking those now in the last 15 minutes of the program. And please also use the Q&A feature within Zoom. If you're logged in with us via Zoom, please use the Q&A feature and we'll start reading out your questions. One of the questions that we have is, what is it that the Atlantic Council does? I know that we've had a couple of varieties of answers, but I'm going to throw this question to Fernanda, and maybe she can shed a little bit of light from the HR point of view of what the Atlantic Council does. Fernanda?
Of course. So not too long ago, I had my first interview with the Atlantic Council, and I asked the same question: what does the Atlantic Council do? One thing is to be a think tank. The other thing is to be the Atlantic Council, as we heard from our coworkers, that the Atlantic Council is different. And I heard the Atlantic Council is a forward thinking. We don't sit back and think and analyze and do research. We own projects, we own initiatives, we start dialogues. We go to areas nationally and international, and we start dialogues to change behavior, to impact other people's life. And I would say, without getting too technical, because Damon had done a really good job and my coworkers here, but from my HR standpoint, that's what Atlantic Council does. And if you think you were in that direction, again, come talk to us.
Thank you, Fernanda. That actually piggybacks into another question. Someone is interested. We've had this great conversation today. Someone sees something on our careers page that they're interested in applying for, and maybe they have decided that they're at the right period of their career where they could become a fellow. Fernando, what's the best way to reach out to someone to apply for a job or to express interest in a position?
So there are many ways you can reach out to people. Of course, you can always go to HR, but you can always learn from people within the department you're interested in. What do they do? What is their day-to-day? What is a future project? We hold so many events, virtual events. We have our names here. Reach out to us. We're all on social media. Most of us have our profiles on our website. Check it out. See what we write about. See what the subjects that we care about. And if the same that we care about you, start a dialogue. Let's connect.
Thank you for that. Trying to find some more questions. Please add them to the chat, to the Q&A feature, and to Stronger with Allies. One other question that we have in our final moments here, what types of fellowships do you have? Tuka, can you give us some ideas of the different types of fellowships? We've gone into our non-resident senior fellows, but what other types of fellowships are available at the council? Those that may be program or center specific, or those that may, I know that we have an LGBTI fellowship. What types of other fellowships are available at the Atlanta Council?
The most ones that I'm familiar with are the non-resident fellowships. I know we have a congressional fellowship, I think at the Eurasia Center. I wanted to make sure that people understand that there are different ways that you can engage with think tanks. So maybe working with them is not in the books right now. But like we said, non-resident fellowships are a way for people who already have an existing affiliation, let's say with an academic or private sector institution, but want to on the side engage in research and writing. So they would, reach out to somebody. Sometimes it happens more organically that we are aware of somebody's work and we tap them. Another way is contributing to blogs. For example, specifically with regards to the Middle East program, we have MENA source blog and Iran source blog where we take external contributions and submissions from external authors. That's one way that you can kind of begin to explore what it's like to write for a US policy audience. So reaching out to our blog editors, checking out our blog pages. And, so that's a different way. Attending our events, of course, like you mentioned, is another way. So besides working full time, there are other opportunities. And, once you kind of go into our website and look around, you might be able to find something that works for you at that point of time in your life.
Thank you for that. Safa, this question is going to go to you, and I'm picking you to answer this question because I know you're going to have a really good answer. What has been one of the most fun, exciting, interesting, unique experiences or projects or things that you've worked on? I'm asking on you in particular because I know that you have some really good and cheeky blog titles for some of the materials that you've produced. You're going to have to correct me with the name here, something like 9 ways in which the most recent cyber attacks have been like your ex or something like that. Or there's astrological sign blog that you produced. I'm just really curious about your answer. Like, what is just some of the fun things that you've worked on here?
Thanks for that, Clintandra. And it's good to know that somebody appreciates those pieces. I think what's been really fun in our work, and I've been really appreciative to have this opportunity, has been trying to make cyber more accessible to wider audiences. At the end of the day, cyber impacts everyone, yet unfortunately, not everyone is very well educated about cybersecurity and technology and risk management. So how do we ensure that we create forms of content that we do create long form content? We are going to create reports. They're going to be very dense. They're going to be very detailed. And those are wonderful for individuals who might be practitioners or experts in this space. On the other hand, there might be individuals who are interested in cybersecurity or trying to get their feet wet. So also trying to find a balance where we're creating content that's accessible and even humorous. Sometimes it doesn't take itself too seriously, has been really fun. And I'm looking forward to doing some more of that with my coworkers. Another project that I'm interested in right now that I'm working on is we're in the process of, we host all these competitions around the world for university students. How do we create connective tissue between those competitions and between those touch points that we have with them, so that we can better connect with them over the course of the year, and then also just better connect students with employers and also with one another, trying to ensure that there are Americans connecting with Europeans and Australians connecting with Chileans who are interested in cybersecurity and getting into the cyber talent pipeline, because in 5 to 10 years, they'll be a decision maker in government or in industry. And we want them to have those relationships, which has been really cool to work on.
Tuke, I'm going to send the same question to you. I'm asking you specifically because you've been with the council for a substantial amount of time. What's that fun, interesting project or event or gala? Just something really fun, interesting, out of the box. Every time you think about it, you say, that's the Atlantic Council that I'd like to remember.
You're putting me on the spot here. Let's see. I mean, we've had back when we were in the office, we had these what were they called in the afternoons? I'm blanking out. Like they were like
our unwinds.
Our unwinds, yes. And we had each center and program would host this unwind, and they would feature some of the cultural aspects of that program. So maybe it's because I'm fasting and I'm thinking about those unwinds, and we had some really good tahini flavored ice cream, and we had some good Middle Eastern food. But it was a fun way to feature some of the cultural aspects that come with obviously having the Middle East program run that unwind. So that's something that I look forward to going back into office and having some of those social gatherings again.
Oh, that's a really great answer. Just to let everyone know, our unwinds are once a month. They're on a Friday. They are usually hosted by a program or center, and they usually have some theme that program or center is bringing. So as Tuke mentioned, sometimes it'll be food related, and it'll have, various dishes from a particular region. But like I said earlier, we have different thematic programs and centers. So, and maybe Safa can help me remember, it seems like the Scowcroft Center for Strategy and Security may have had various different types of security, cyber attacks. I don't remember, but every program and center has various different types of themes. And so there'll be trivia, and everyone really likes to get into the trivia. I mean, whether it's answering questions that, if it was Safa's cyber statecraft's security initiative, they might ask about when and who did these cyber attacks impact. And it's just a fun way for us to kind of get to know everyone up and down the council, whether they are directors, deputy directors, whether they are interns. It's just a good way to kind of, just as the name implies, to unwind and kind of get to know each other in a real dress down way. And I do appreciate those. And Tuke, thanks for mentioning that, because it is something that we've kind of lost. If I were to look at Amjad right now, he just has no idea what we're talking about, because he's only, been here while we've worked remotely, and Fernando as well. But it's one of the things that makes the council really special, to kind of get to know our colleagues in a way that's outside of work, and to know each other on a personal level and not just in a work level, because sometimes we can get siloed in our work. And so having a way to kind of get to know people has been a really rich and warm experience. Tuke, thank you for reminding me that now I just want to get back into the office that much quicker. So Amjad, I'm going to send the question to you as well. What have you done in your time here so far that just really brings, a warm thought to your heart?
I think one of my favorite things is the podcast we put on. So we have a podcast. I'm going to give a plug here. It's called Empower Me Conversations. You can get it on all platforms. And what was great about it is, and I think Tuke really hit on this before, is we brought voices from the region to the world, and specifically entrepreneurs who were building phenomenal businesses. These were both young men and women who were really building world-class businesses around the region from UAE, Saudi, Egypt, Jordan. And it was just really fun talking to them. I mean, they're young, they're passionate. They're talking to you about how they're making an impact, but at the same time creating wealth for themselves and for their families and creating jobs. And I thought it brought the region to life, in a way that is a different narrative than what you hear usually, especially in the US. So I really enjoyed that time spending with them. I thought it was really rewarding.
And your shameless plug is rewarded. The link will be appearing in our chat in just a moment. Tuka, this question is going to go back to you as well. There's a question that someone posed that is, what are the ongoing programs in the MENA region, in the Middle East, North African region? Can you give a little bit more, shed a little bit of light on some of the programs that are going on in the MENA region?
Yeah, happy to do that. So, Amjad's project and Amjad's initiative, the Empower Me initiative, is one of the newer initiatives that we've had. It focuses on entrepreneurship, youth, and women in the region. We have, as I mentioned earlier, a project on Iraq. So looking at some of the most pressing challenges that Iraq is facing and how the US can support that. We have an initiative on Iran. Of course, it's frequently in the news, and how the US and Iran can work together to address some of the concerns that we have related to the region there. And then we have work on North Africa. We have an exciting Syria program. We just launched a strategic litigation program, which focuses on tools for holding human rights violators accountable. So it's really exciting. And if you take a look at our website, you'll also see some of the more recent analysis and upcoming events that we're having.
Thank you so much, Tuka, for that answer. And that is going to be our last and final question and answer for today. Thank you so much to all of my colleagues. As always, it's always a joy to work with you all. This has been definitely a dream job of mine. I've always appreciated working with the Atlantic Council and getting to know each of you both professionally and personally. And so doing these Meet the Council events has been a warm experience, because as I said, sometimes I learn something new about our colleagues, and with Tuka reminding us of our unwinds, and with Amjad reminding us or letting us know that he had some time in the UAE and on Wall Street, it's just been a great joy. And again, I work with one of the best teams in the entire world, not just the United States, and so I'm really grateful to get to know them individually and professionally. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Thank you, everyone, to all of our panelists who have participated today and taken the time out of your workday to participate. Again, we encourage you to look at our website to learn more about what it is that we do, to learn about our fellowships, to learn about our jobs, participate in our events, read our reports, get to know us. We definitely want to hear back from you. So we ask that you definitely try to engage with us. Find us on social media. As I said before, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram. We're all over your favorite social media networks. And so we thank you so much for participating. We thank you so much for engaging with us today. And we look forward to hearing from you soon. The next Meet the Council event will be next month for the Asian American Pacific Islander edition. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time, and have a pleasant evening. Thank you.